Thank you for joining me again. Lesson 5. So let's do a quick recap of the last day. Did you get the slides from the college?
Yes.
You did? And look, go through the slides in your own time. I know one of the things that we discussed right at the start was things you could do, say if English wasn't your first language. And I know a lot of you guys have a very strong English, but sometimes it can be hard in terms of understanding a particular word or something can catch you out. So if we grab a paragraph like this and I go to my browser, there are lots of really good translation tools that you can use. And you can pop your text in here and then, so give me a language over here, somebody. So type a language into chat and we'll translate the text that we've just put in. So what's a language that you're super familiar with? And we'll pick it here. Burmese. So see if that's now. Burmese, unfortunately, isn't on the list because it would be here. Is that the same language? Would that be the same as LM? It's over here. Now, so does that make sense to you? So when you look at the translation from English over to this, does that help? Does that translation make sense? Over here? But you're more comfortable reading in English. But look, it's an option. If there is a particular word that you're struggling with, and it could be something in the slides, and you get the slides from the college, then there are lots of those tools like this that allow you to translate text lots of different ways. Another good thing is if you let's find a word. Say there's a word that you might struggle to understand. So I grab the word and then you just pop it in and it'll give you a few different options. You could type in meaning and it will give you examples of what the word is, this kind of thing. So I would use these online tools to make sure that you understand the text in the slides, but in particular, the text in your assignment, which we will discuss on the last week. So go in, if there's a particular word or phrase that you get some help with it, is what I'm saying. So don't get caught up on a particular thing. And like I said previously, if you have a specific question, you can always ping a message to the college and I'll get it. But I'm sure a lot of you have strong English anyway. So look, let's go through the previous slides. Cloud computing. We looked at some of the benefits. Public, private, hybrid. I think we've explained that pretty well. That's featured in a couple of the lessons. And then cloud computing, maybe some of the benefits of cloud. And look, the differences between cloud versus on-premises storage. And then you have privacy or security considerations. That'll come up again today in today's lecture. And remember, all this was to do with information storage. That was the last time we looked at this information processing cycle. Again, and we'll keep coming back to this because one of the things we're going to look at today is output. So it's over this side. But the last day we were focused on this. And the class before that we were focused on this. So you have input, processing and storage and output. And you're always moving from data to information because you can make decisions on information. Today we will look at this side of the information processing cycle. The last day we looked at this part, which is the processing and the storage. So that's your cloud computing and that's your databases, all ways to store information. We looked at just different types of databases, whether it's just different scales of system, this one being much bigger. Oh, all the benefits, data warehouses, RDMS, flat files, which you're all probably familiar with. That's files like Excel documents that they're stored, you work on them, and then you save them back to whatever device you're using. And there's lots of different types. And then we had data mining. So we're moving away from storage here and we're getting into processing. So how do we figure things out? How do we uncover these type of things, trends, patterns, relationships in our data? How do we understand what the data tells us? We looked at why businesses use data mining. And again, it's this information flow where you have lots of information and you start off with tons of data and you move right down. And down here is the point where the data is actually telling you something and you can use it to help you make decisions. So why businesses use data, different process and techniques, and then just another type of system, a decision support system. So a decision support system. And it's just a different way to pull out the information you need from a digital system. Some common examples, the airline industry, and they would combine weather, passenger, and flight data to help plan the safe journeys. So lots of things feeding in, lots of different data sets feeding in to the decision support system. And then at the end, we had a couple of slides on artificial intelligence, all the different types of AI, something you're probably familiar with, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, all those types of things. So any questions on any of that?
Chat and
ChatGPT, is it? AI. So what type of AI is that? ChatGPT and Gemini. They would be generative AI. So this is generative AI. Why is it called generative? Perplexity. And you can see them all. They all have slightly different features, slightly different business strategies. Generative AI. And these are all different generative AI companies. Let's see, does it give us a list? So this is a list: Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. Some of them have built-in search, and always important to check the outputs of AI. So if you're using AI to help you with work or with college work or school work or whatever, very important to review the outputs. So don't trust the outputs that the generative AI gives you. They have a tendency to hallucinate. So hallucinate is when they make up things, and the things that they make up are not necessarily true. But a lot of people use them now, a lot of businesses use AI, but it's always important to check the facts. So check the output. Do you do that? Do you check the output? There's also reinforcement learning. I think maybe reinforcement learning was mentioned on one of the other slides. Mentions neural networks. There's reinforcement learning, where a computer learns which one is the most effective. There's no one magic answer. They're all good for different things. They're also very different as well, because machine learning, for example, doesn't create text like generative AI does. So generative AI can create. So you can put in a prompt, you can type in, create a picture of a cat with some headphones on or something like that. And the generative AI will invent a picture and it'll show it to you and you can download it. Machine learning will be different in that normally you're feeding in kind of data sets. So when I've used machine learning in the past, I'm using a language called Python. Have you heard of Python? You set up a notebook and you type in your code and then you feed in your data set and then you clean it up and then you run different algorithms against it and you make predictions. And you're saying, based on this data set and these models that I've used, these would be the predictions. They're all different types. There's no one type better than the other. It's just that they're different, but they're very much part of modern life. So all the weather channels would use machine learning to try and predict the weather. Netflix, Spotify, fraud detection, all those things, they're all predictive. So they look at past data or past events, and then they try and predict future events. And that could be something like a weather pattern, or it could also be something like what movie are you going to watch next? And those, you see them everywhere. You see them on e-commerce sites, the recommender algorithms. So very much part of modern life and here to stay. And you would imagine as time goes on, we'll see more and more of them. So that's a quick overcap of the last day. So remember the information processing cycle. We were in the middle part of it. So we had a kind of a focus on storage and processing. Today now we're going to shift over to the other side and we're going to start looking at output. And the output would be this information sharing. So you've gone through the processing cycle, you've gathered, or the data has been provided to you, it's been processed, and now you started to come to conclusions and you want to share it. And we look at lots of examples of that today. Sorry, just let me reorganize my windows. Any thoughts or comments before we move on? No, all good. Information sharing. Today, we all use the internet to share information in ways that's fast, flexible, truly global, all those things. These are common tools that we use. Microsoft 365, Outlook, and they let us send messages and attachments instantly. And these services are part of larger platforms such as Google Workspace and Office or Microsoft 365. And there's a bunch of tools, calendars, shared documents, real-time editing. So what do these applications support? Teamwork, whether people are in the same office or across the world. And then we have other applications, video conferencing tools, like what we're talking about on today, Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, and these tools have transformed how we connect. In education, they allow teachers to run live classes. In business, they've essentially replaced in-person meetings. And these platforms feature things like screen sharing, like what I'm doing now, recording, automatic transcripts, and these keep everyone informed and included. And for many people, these tools also support flexible working from home. So it's with applications like this and these suites. Can anyone remember what that means? And what these do is they allow information to be shared, because without Zoom today, I wouldn't be able to talk to you. Software as a service, and you pay a very low, or you might even have a free email account, but yet you get access to all these things. So it allows you to talk to people, to send messages, to schedule events, to store files, all those things. So just moving on, we briefly touched this the last day. So sharing information comes with risks. And social media platforms, for example, collect a lot of data, including names, locations, photos, browsing habits. And this data can be misused if not protected. PII, which is called personally identifiable information, includes anything that reveals who you are. And that could be your address, your phone number, your habits, your preferences. To protect yourself, you should check your privacy settings, avoid posting sensitive details, and use strong, unique passwords. And that should go across all accounts, not just social media. Be cautious with links or messages from unknown sources. And know that many platforms track your activity for advertising. So every click on these platforms leaves a digital footprint. And responsible information sharing helps protect your identity, maintain your reputation, and avoid becoming a target for scams or cybercrime. You all understand cyber safety, and it's how to behave online and how to be. Cyber safety, it applies to all sort of digital platforms. Just be mindful what you do, what you click on, what you post, all those things. Search engines, another way that a business can use modern technologies to push out content and information to people, or really to get the business out there. So we'll go through this text and then we'll talk about the diagram. So search engines, and these would be apps like Google, Bing, Yahoo. Like, what search engine do you guys use? What's your search engine?
Google.
Google? Yeah. Yeah. Any others? I thought there might be some that are more native to where you are.
Yahoo.
No others? There's no search engines that are specific to where you are. Chrome would be what you would call a browser. So this browser I'm running is called Safari. That is the program that, or the application that I use to connect to the internet. But my search engine, right, is Google. So I'm using Google to search in Safari. So what you're using is Chrome as your browser, but you're probably using Google as well then to search within it. So there's lots of different search engines. They all have slightly different features, but they all do the same thing in that you type in what you're looking for and then you get a ranked list or a list with all potential things that might interest you. And search engines are tools that help users locate relevant websites and content across the internet. And they're essential for distributing business information online. So a really good way for a business to get their message out there is to have an online presence and to make sure the search engines can see that. And when a user types a word or phrase into the search bar, the search engine uses an algorithm to match their query to indexed pages. And these pages are ranked based on how relevant and trustworthy they appear. So Google, which holds over 90% of market share, uses bots, and these are called web crawlers, to scan the internet and organize website content. And pages are added to Google's index, and the most useful pages appear at the top of search results. And for businesses, this means having a website that is visible on search engines is crucial. And being listed near the top of the page greatly increases your chances, or the chances that people will visit your site and start to learn about you or to make a purchase. So you can see over here that search is a massive part. It's nearly 60% of Google's business. And you can see the others some smaller components, YouTube, Google Ads, and then the cloud and the mobile devices. So it's still way over 50% substantial revenue. So when I go to Google and I type in a search near me, what could it be? I'll get all the hits, and the hits will be ranked. The people with the paid ads, these are all paid. See, sponsored. As I go down, and even it gives me a map I can click on, but even some of these are sponsored as well. It's not until I start getting down to this part where you have what they call organic results. So organic results are basically placed there because of the indexing. So these would be all organic results. It's very seldom when somebody is scrolling that they would even go to this page. Now I'm going to page 2. I see more results, see more applicable results. I'm into organic search now as opposed to paid search. And I've gone to page 2, but you can see how many pages there are of just results. So if we just go down 15, now I'm 15 pages deep. No consumer goes this deep. So there's 18 pages deep. It's telling me that these are very similar to the results already displayed. So no customer is going to go 18 pages deep in search results, which is why it's super important for the business to have your business ranked on the first page. And that brings us to SEO. And we talked about this. Can anyone remember what SEO stands for? And it helps with Google results. SEO is search engine optimization. So how do you change your website so that it ranks really well on Google? SEO is the process of improving a website so that it ranks better. And this helps businesses reach more people, stand out from competitors, and build an online reputation. And SEO involves using keywords that match what users are doing and searching for. So, for example, a pet adoption centre in Dublin might use words like dog adoption, puppies, or even adopt a cat. So these are all relevant keywords throughout their site. And the more relevant and well-placed the keywords, the higher the ranking. So you can actually go in and you can look for a particular type of business. You can go into Google and you can look at the keywords that it looks for the most, and then you can deliberately include those in your site. Because the more relevant and well-placed the keywords, the higher the ranking will be. So other ways to improve SEO include regularly updating content. So in a site, you might have your main pages, which could be like homepage, contact page, that's products, that sort of stuff. Generally, those pages won't change that often. But then you could have other pages that change quite a lot. So you could have a section that might say news or blog or something like that. And that's a page that you add news stories to. And then every time Google come and index your site, they would actually see that, hang on, this site has changed and these people are actively maintaining their website. So by updating content regularly, it actually can help your ranking. If you have links to other trusted sites, that's called backlinking. If your site is fast, that helps as well. And making sure the site works on all devices and organizing content so that it's easy to navigate. And good SEO increases the chances that users find your business first. It also helps users have a better experience once they reach the site. So these are some of the benefits of SEO. Google actually have a tool that you can use. This page, yeah, you can go in. It's changed. You go in and you can pop in a domain, a full domain, or else a specific page here, and it will actually just make sure Google website score, page insights. Let's see, so let's pick a website, Irish government. So let's run a check on this, which is, say, a government website. So see what it's doing. It's going in and it's actually measuring that website, and then it will score mobile, desktop. This can take a little while because it runs through all the pages. So what this is measuring now is the speed, and it gives a performance score of the website, and then it goes in and has a look, and it gives you a bunch of recommendations as to what you might need to do to the site. It does that. You'll see the scores are slightly different for desktop. So you can see on this, the desktop score is much higher than the mobile score. So one of the things the web developers could do here is to actually go in and improve the mobile version of their site. So these are just tools that Google provide to you to help you rank your website a little bit better. You all understand that? That's good. And these are all things that businesses do to get their information or their message out there. The next section looks something I'm sure you're all familiar with, social media. What platforms are you on? So if you were to list them, what would they be? And I'm sure everyone's on a few different platforms. You're on Instagram, very good. Anyone else on? I just want to see for the class, what is the most popular platform? Yeah, usually people are on multiple platforms. Everyone's had a Facebook account first and then moved into Instagram and then over to Snapchat and kind of TikTok. That was the journey. So everyone will be on slightly different apps. And there tends to be a sort of a user base for different ages. It can also be regional as well. You can have very popular apps in certain places, or also community based or purpose based, where, say, something like LinkedIn, which is like a business or a professional platform, people of a certain age would tend to be on that. Essentially, all these platforms allow you to form these sort of online communities, and they let you share your thoughts, photos, videos with a wider audience. So think about having a business page or a social media account for one of these platforms, and it's linked back to your business. So now what you're doing is you're posting content, not so much for friends or followers, but for potential customers. And social media, it was originally designed for personal sharing, but now it plays a massive role in how businesses can connect with customers. And the social media applications, the big platforms, they are like superb advertising machines. So they're really the best advertising sort of machines that we've ever had. They have huge amounts of information around every person on the platform. They constantly collect that big data all the time, and they know how to serve those ads and the messaging really well, which is why they're so profitable. So lots of companies use them today. You can post updates, they can interact with customers, answer questions. It also allows you to promote products directly to users. So now you sometimes even see businesses, they don't have what you'd call full websites anymore. They focus on other channels. So some examples, a person might follow a clothing brand, leave a product review and chat with a friend all in one session on social. Banks might post financial advice, restaurants offer discounts, or they reply to a customer feedback. And that's those review sites that you see that are very popular. And different platforms, like I said, tend to suit different age groups and purposes. And social media platforms allow businesses to reach large audience at very low cost. And nearly every demographic uses at least one social media platform, making it a valuable channel for raising awareness and building your brand. So depending on who your customer might be, so if you have a customer base that's a little bit older or a little bit younger, that would influence your choice of social media platform. So unlike a website, social media is built for engagement, and it allows companies to interact with followers, receive feedback, and respond in real time. And what these interactions do is they help increase brand awareness, customer trust, and sales through targeted posts and promotions. So content shared on social media can drive traffic to a website or a landing page. And you'll see that a lot. You have a button usually as part of it. It's a call to action, and it redirects you to another site. So you're all pretty familiar with social media. Just know that it's a massive business tool, and it look at just a part of what every business needs to do today in terms of sharing information. So businesses need a consistent voice, a clear strategy, and to have a social media plan. So a social media plan, and this might be somebody in-house. You could have a marketing manager, you could have a social media manager. So key elements would include a content calendar. So that's all the stuff and activities you're going to do figured out in advance. You could use automation tools where you write the post once and then it publishes to multiple platforms. You're using performance tracking where you look at all the clicks, all the engagements of the posts, hashtags, polls, questions, repost this, and all those things that social media platforms allow you to do. Understanding your audience is crucial. You have to know who they are, what content they'll respond to, and what platforms they use. So, for example, a business promoting pet adoptions will reach audiences on TikTok that are younger, and then Facebook maybe a little bit older. And then they could use adopt, don't shop, or pet of the week, and that increased visibility across the social network. So impact and reach. How do we get the message out there? Social media provides access to rich data that helps measure reach, effectiveness, and return on investment for the businesses. So companies can see how many people saw the post, how many interacted with it, and what kind of users engaged. Where are they? Who are they? And to improve reach, companies can use backlinks, select long tail keywords for niche targeting. So that's an example, say, of the pet analogy again. Partner with other brands to expand their audience. For example, a pet rescue center collaborating with a local vet or pet supplier, and ultimately posting targeted content and active engagement builds a stronger online presence that supports wider business goals. And remember, through all these platforms and things, we're talking about trying to get our message out there. So any questions about social media before we move on? So that's the social media sort of section. So the first part, remember today we're talking about information sharing. We have our search engines, how to get our website or whatever ranked. The second part, socials, how to get it out there using those platforms. Another way to communicate information is through the use of dashboards. I think we might have referenced this briefly in a previous lesson. You all understand what a dashboard is? And I know we looked at, remember, we all know. So Google Analytics, where you get this type of thing. So that gives you a simple overview of what's happening. And the whole point of using dashboards is because it gives you a way to simplify the information so the average person can just look at it and can see exactly what's happening and see that very quickly. So even just looking at this part, I can see that there's an up and a down. You would imagine that's to do with, could be daytime and nighttime. It seems to be very linear, but it allows me to look at the information and to drive meaning very quick. So a dashboard is a visual interface that presents important data or navigation tools in one place, and it allows users to interact with forms, reports, or key metrics through a simplified layout. So a lot of applications have dashboards, and it's just to try and make sense of that complex information. Dashboards are valuable because they reduce complexity and they make it easier for us to see things. And rather than navigating menus or files or big reports, the user interacts with a single interface that links to essential tools and business data. So some examples. In business, you have tools like Excel, Power BI, the one we've just looked at, Google Analytics, and these dashboards display real-time visualizations such as charts, tables, performance indicators. A lot of the time you just want to see if things are going up or down, and then to be able to compare, say, this week with last week, this month with last month, this month last year. What were we like? What was September like for the business last year? How does this year compare with it? Those type of comparative things. So types and uses of dashboards. So maybe four main types that we can identify. We have strategic dashboards, and these would be used by senior leaders to monitor long-term goals and trends. An example there would be, look, revenue growth over time, market share, customer satisfaction. Over time, you have operational dashboards, and these will be focused on daily or real-time activities, and they would be used by supervisors. You have analytic dashboards, and they would be used by analysts, data analysts, to explore large data sets, often with filters and comparisons. And then you would also have tactical dashboards, and they would tend to be used by middle management to monitor a specific team or department goals. All these different dashboard types support better decisions by presenting only the most relevant and timely information for that user. So the dashboards would be set up completely different for all the different people in the business. So when the executive log in, they would see this. So their dashboard would show them what's relevant to them. When some of the workers or supervisors would log in, they would see this. So they would see what's happening right in front of them, whereas the management might have a more helicopter view on the thing, linked to who the person is and what they do in the business. And then the information that they're going to be presented with will be very different. So how to build an effective dashboard. So when designing a dashboard, the goal is clarity, relevance, and ease of use. And key steps include identify your audience, because understanding who will be using the dashboard and for what purpose. You also need to select the correct data, and you need to focus on meaningful KPIs. And we'll talk about KPIs in a sec, that reflect the business goals. Then you have to choose the right visuals, and you have to design the dashboard for navigation. So you'll need buttons and links and all that. And you also have to remember to keep it clean and consistent, because if there's too much information for the user, then it defeats the purpose, because they'll get confused. Now over here, we have these things called KPIs. So what's a KPI? I'll give you a clue. Key something something. KPI. It's a key performance indicator, and they might be different again for different people in the businesses, because they would. So KPI, and usually your dashboard reflects KPIs. It shows you what's that thing I need to know that's really important. KPI. So it's a key performance indicator, and they should be what they call SMART. Have you heard of this? SMART. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. So have you heard of SMART before? So all KPIs, you should try and make them SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, time-bound, relevant. So SMART. And that's quite important. Just moving on, because we just have a couple of minutes left. The benefits of dashboards. Dashboards support decision making by providing a real-time overview of performance. And their key benefits include increased visibility. So teams and managers can see progress on goals without the need to run reports. Because say these people, they can see what's happening. They have what they need right in front of them. So that information is being provided to them properly. Dashboards save a ton of time. So instead of searching for data, users can access information from a single interface. Dashboards give improved accuracy, because the data is being pulled from trusted sources like databases, and that ensures that the reports or the information on the dashboard is current and correct. Dashboards also allow better collaboration, because when they're shared across teams, everyone is working from the same set of information. So dashboards are a very good way to talk about a business problem that you might have, because you could have a meeting and you would pop the dashboard up on the screen and you would talk about it, and everyone can see the same thing. Because sometimes in business, it's that collaborative thing that is important, and that everyone is on the same page. And dashboards can also help link data from multiple departments, allowing managers and others to spot patterns, risks, or opportunities more easily. So just to recap, and please stop me if you have any questions. So today we looked at information sharing, and just remember it's part of that cycle that we looked at, where you have an input, processing, storage, and output. And today's organizations and businesses rely on a range of digital tools to share information quickly, accurately, and at scale. And these tools support internal operations and both external communications. The examples that we looked at: dashboards, the most recent one, provides live business insights to employees through interactive visuals and simple navigation. Search engines help people find relevant content by crawling, indexing, and ranking pages across the web. Social media allows organizations to build relationships, promote content, and reach new audiences. And then the other things we looked at: cloud platforms and email. So that was right at the start of today's lesson. They support collaboration across locations, across departments, across time zones. So each of these methods plays a different role depending on the audience or the goals, but they're all to do with sharing information and allowing the company or the organization to get its message out there and to stay in touch with the people that it needs to. To be effective, the information, it needs to be structured. It should be easy to navigate. It should be accurate. It should be relevant. It needs to be accessible. It needs to be able to reach the users where they are, whether it's in a meeting room, whether it's the customer is at home. It needs to be timely. So if the information is out of date, it doesn't have the same benefit. So the information needs to be current. And good information sharing systems reflect the needs of the user, the type of content, the context of use, and we've discussed and we've looked at all these. And then tools like dashboards and social platforms help translate and share complex information and provide real business value. So effective information sharing helps to improve decision making at all levels, enables engagement with wider audiences, and it reduces duplication, and it also avoids data silos. So silo is when something is in isolation. So that is the last slide for today. So any questions on that? I might just do a quick recap. So maybe turn on your cameras for a sec, guys, and we can say goodbye. We said hello, so we can say goodbye. You're on the bus, Abdullah. You're on the way home. Any questions on any of this? Remember, it all links back to what we looked at previously, which is this. So think of it: in, process, out, always moving from data over to information. So everything we've done: input, processing, output. So today we've looked at output. So all those different applications are over this side. So let's see what we looked at. You're familiar with all these, I'm sure. Online safety, we've discussed that a few times. Search engines, you all know, and SEO. Social media, you're familiar with. Dashboards, the benefits of dashboards. It's a really good way to share information because people can process pictures. So it's easier to understand, for example, something like this because it's a picture rather than this because it's text. So my brain, when I look at this, I can understand it. When I look at this, I go, what does all this mean? And I have to think about it more. So that's why people use dashboards like this, because when you have everything in front of you, it's very easy to see. Whereas this more sort of text-based thing involves an extra layer of thinking, benefits. Everyone can see the same information at the same time, and all that allows the information to move around the business and from the business to its customers. So any questions with this or any of the content that we've looked at today? No questions? Okay, well, look, make sure and grab the notes from the college. I'll post the slides, go through them. Now is the time to start going back through the materials, because you'll get your assignment in kind of week 8, and then we can discuss it, and then you'll have a certain amount of time to do it. But what I would do is start getting organized now and at least have all your files, all the handouts, the transcripts, everything all in the same folder, so that you know where everything is when it comes time to start working on the assignment. I've seen the assignment, but I can't share it with you yet. It's fine. You guys will fly through it. It's very much based on the content that we've been looking at. I would say is start to get organized now and just get everything together so that you have it. Also do a little bit of a reread. Start to go back through the class materials in your own time, so you're not seeing them again for the first time when you're sitting down to write your assignment. I wish you all a good couple of days, and I will see you again. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.